Hey everybody on YouTube. It looks like hopefully this feed is going live. And if you're brand new to our channel, take a second and hit the subscribe button and hit the notifications bell so you don't miss out on some of our upcoming videos. My name's Kevin. I'm the Property Prince, and I'm here from Two Guys Take on Real Estate, hoping that as everybody joins in, they drop a hello in the chat, and I get to check in with all of our awesome subscribers that come in and watch our live feeds every week. And if you're watching this on replay and you haven't been here before and you missed it live, well, listen, I'm better late than never, and I'm glad you happened to pop on. I already see people jumping in the chat already. Looks like Rob's here. Rob, what's up? Howdy. Thanks very much for joining. We're popping on today just to talk and do a little bit about some kind of current status of the market, some of the current real estate topics that people ask us about in the comments section on our videos all the time. And we cover this stuff a little bit in our mentorship program. So if you're interested in real estate, you're looking to get involved in real estate, maybe you're already started by buying a couple of properties and you're looking to grow, or you're looking to get your first property going. We do offer now mentorship, and you can find more about that right here on our channel and some of our various links. So please explore around. We have a lot of free content in our videos as well. So I hope some of this helps out a lot. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, just a couple of really trendy topics that people ask us about. We're going to talk today a little about let's face it, pretty unconstitutional, certainly unfair eviction moratorium that's pretty much gone away everywhere now, and what the future might hold for that as things start to kind of normalize and get back to a level playing field, or at least maybe a little bit closer to one. And we're going to talk a little bit about, will there or won't there be a market correction? Is there going to be a crash? I mean, everybody just thinks crash, crash, crash. You know what? That might happen. Who really knows? We certainly have no way to know for sure. Will there be a correction? I think it's incredibly likely that something's going to change in the market as time goes on. So we can chat a little bit about that. If you have any thoughts on these two topics, please feel free to jump into the chat with them. If you have experience with the eviction moratorium, whether you know somebody that's been dealing with tenants that weren't paying, or you yourself have been dealing with a non-paying tenant and you couldn't do anything about it. Definitely love to hear your stories and your info about that. And if you are watching this on replay, that's okay. Drop it in the chat as well, so we can check that out. We'd probably be able to shoot you a quick reply about your situation or some of your feedback. So thank you. So for folks that don't know, eviction moratorium, what was that all about? Well, basically that's where a landlord was not able to enforce the requirement for their customer to pay them for their services. In fact, we talked about this quite a bit on our channel already, but it's one of the only businesses, rental property. It's pretty much the only business that during the last year and a half or so, we all know what that time period was, that was forced to stay open and serve their customers, not forced to close like many other businesses were, but instead forced to stay open, forced to serve their customers without the ability to require payment for their services. What an incredibly strange concept. That you would think that the government would do is to force a private individual or small business to shoulder the responsibilities of providing housing services for another private individual without their consent. Pretty crazy stuff. I would stay, but now is a bad time for me. Oh, well, thanks very much for saying hi anyway. I appreciate you popping on in the chat. And you know what? This is going to be available on replay, so you can always check us out this evening when you have some free time, and drop us a message in the comment section at that point. Let us know you came back and you're able to find us. So if you're looking to learn more about eviction moratorium stuff, please browse around our channel. We've got an awful lot of content there about it as well. But that's basically what happened. It was simply put, a landlord was forced. Maybe it's an owner-occupied 2-family or 3-family. If you guys have been interested in buying real estate, this could have been a jam that you almost walked into. Imagine a year ago buying a property, renting it to 2 people, living in the first floor, renting out the other 2 apartments, and then not being able to pay for your services, them not being forced to pay you for their services, and you being forced to continue to provide them. So if the heating system breaks, they break a window, you have to mow the grass, all the other things you have to actually do, you're still paying property taxes. In fact, your property taxes probably went up. These kind of things are all stuff that really, really did happen. And now that's coming to an end. Now, don't forget it. Your property taxes probably still going up this year too. But in our case, water and sewer charges went up. All the costs associated with owning maintaining and operating a private property usually increased for the owners, but they weren't able to request or require people to actually pay for their services to stay there. Really, really unfortunate. That's more or less come to an end. There's still some regions and some states that landlords are still stuck with that, and that's still coming to an end in those areas. So how will that change the landscape, or what's going to happen going forward? My guess, and I guess anybody's guess is available out there, but I would say you're probably going to see that landlords going forward are going to take that into a part of the equation as they get into their property. So if I know now that the landscape going forward might be that this might come up again. I mean, they did it once and it was completely unfathomable, but they still did it. Maybe this will happen again. I'm going to take steps. If I know that my risk is now higher, I'm going to make sure that I take steps to balance that out. So what am I going to do? Probably going to charge more. Probably going to somehow require more. Maybe, hopefully, we'll have some legislation that allows for maybe larger security deposits to come in. I don't know. But I'm definitely going to look at modifying how I provide my services and what I'm providing and how much I'm charging for. Because if I'm putting myself into a risky situation, I better be doing it at a premium. So what could have happened as a result of this is the government, by putting this measure together, might have basically really, really encouraged landlords to jack up their rents going forward. So to offset the incredible risk that the landlords are now faced with. I see a couple of comments popping up here. Rob, let me pop this right on the screen for you, Rob. That's a big question. I have heard a lot of real estate investors talking about the massive backlog of buyers. Seem like there won't be much of a crash or correction until we can churn through them. So that's a great. I'll leave that up for a sec. And I want to get a credit card. My parent thinks that they're bad. How do I convince them they're not? They're definitely not. It should be much convincing about it. I'm not sure why people think that they're bad. First, convince them that you're responsible. That'd be my answer to that. But so back to Rob's question here. And market correction, crash, all that kind of stuff. Rob, I think you kind of sum up my personal viewpoint on how this might go, because so often I hear that people are talking about, I'm not going to buy, I'm going to wait. I'm waiting. I know the market's going to crash. I'm waiting till it crashes. And so for sure, we hear that a lot. So I've been using the analogy, if you've ever watched old Looney Tunes cartoons, or the old cartoons, right, where somebody falls off of a building, a cartoon character jumps off a building or falls, and he goes through and he's falling through the air and he hits like awning after awning after awning. It's cushioning the fall. There's so many people, maybe like yourself, Rob, or other people that are out there talking about this, literally waiting out there for the market to crash so they can catch it. And so it's so many people out there ready to break its fall. I don't know. I don't think you're really going to see this big, massive downward spiral and huge overnight crash like we saw the last time. Now, we know markets do have cycles. So this is not a new thing. The market probably will ease, correct, crash, whatever you want to call it. We'll see something happen. Yeah, that's normal. It's cyclical. It's a normal thing. But I don't think it's going to be for that type of reason. Exactly. I think people are a lot more, especially with social media now, there's a lot more resources like our awesome channel, I like to think, where people are a lot more comfortable with buying property. They're smarter about buying property this cycle around, and they're waiting out there for an opportunity to do it. In fact, there's a lot of pent-up demand. There's so many people that have come of age to buy their own, move out on their own, buy their own single or multifamily home. Talking about house hacking has been something we do a ton on our channel. And, right there, I think when if I see a video about people, college students living in the dorms, I remember going back and I remember living in the dorms. And even then I knew, what a ripoff. I'm paying big bucks to live in a tiny cinder block cell, no kitchen, no bathroom. You have to go down the hall, down the stairs and down a hall to go to a shared bathroom. Crazy money to use all that. And you could get a much, much better value if you were living in your own property. So house hacking is something people are being comfortable with now at a younger age, college and shortly after. So I think there's a lot of people that are coming of age that are waiting and have been waiting to buy their first property. And then, you know what? You got a lot of other people, adults, older adults like me, I guess, that are just now getting comfortable with investing in real estate, understanding that buying a house doesn't mean you have to go deal with smoke detectors and clogged toilets and all this other stuff in a rental property, that you can hire management companies that really you can let the banks do most of the work to use leverage debt and financing and then use a property management company to have them handle the property. And you can get involved in real estate without having to be Mr. or Mrs. Fix It. So I think there's a lot of opportunity out there for people to purchase and invest in real estate. And I think a lot of them have been waiting. So personally, that's one great viewpoint. I think it's a great viewpoint where people might say, listen, I don't think it's going to be a crash. As prices start falling, more people are going to start taking their chance at buying now. And it's going to hopefully ease the market down. If the market's going to make a downward trend, it's going to probably be a more of a softer slope. There's a lot of other ways to look at it. But great credit card question, by the way, not on the topic of what we're talking about today. So I appreciate that. But seriously, stick with it, build that credit, take that very, very seriously now. It will open doors for you, possibly rental property doors later. Lisa on here, as always. Hello, Lisa. I'm waiting for the market to come down so I can buy a single family and stop owner occupying and rent out my unit. I hear you. I would love to go back to owner occupying a multifamily house myself. I think that's a great way to save a ton of money in getting involved in the world of real estate by doing a house hack. Sorry, somebody didn't realize we were live. I apologize for that. But so what we do here is we encourage people to house hack because it's a great way to save a lot of money while occupying a property. But that is the normal progression. People start off by house hacking, go to a single family. For myself, I have a hard time justifying the expense of occupying a single family home when I could be saving and making so much money by house hacking. So I love it. Everybody has their own different game plan and are different points of where they are in the real estate ownership process. So it's always awesome to see that. There is no one perfect and right way to do this stuff, guys. So seriously, I love to see it, especially in the comment section. And please take a second and comment here. And if you're watching on replay, where you are in the real estate process, if you're getting warmed up to the idea and you're ready to buy and you're perched and just ready to pounce when there's a crash or a correction, or if you have a couple of properties, maybe you're like Lisa, you're owner occupying your first house hack and you're getting ready to buy a single family home and then rent out your current house hacked owner occupied unit. I see Jason's got a question as well. I need to buy a house. But I don't want to wait. But I want to wait for a correction. Phoenix is terrible right now. Awesome, and thanks for saying hello. By the way, from Phoenix and everywhere people are joining in as we go through our live feed here, and then as we do our replay later. It's great to see people from all over the country. And there's so many people just like you, Jason, that are out there that are waiting and waiting and waiting, and have been waiting. It seems like forever to do for some kind of a correction to make their purchase. The only thing I would tell people like that is and again. Everybody's going to have a different style and preference. That's why there's so many videos on our channel here on YouTube that hopefully you subscribe to and you ring the notifications bell on so that you have the ability to interpret and decide what is best for you and the way you want to pursue things. But a lot of people can easily turn around and say, Jason, you missed opportunity by waiting. You could have done something. You could have made a play in the last year and a half. And then still, when the market corrects, make another play then. You don't have to just do it once. You can do this thing over and over and over. So, think about it that way. Think about it from another perspective. Have your perspective. There's nothing wrong with that. But always consider the other angles and talk yourself in or out of your current path. Keep testing your theory on why what you're choosing to do is the right way for you. And that's a great way to grow. And eventually, as you get really, really comfortable with the different options that are out there, and as everything always kind of changes, the important thing is you'll feel comfortable with pivoting your business. And that's going to be awesome because, again, real estate markets always adjust and always change. The ability and the ability to pivot, very, very important stuff. But yeah, prices will fall in real estate. And interest rates will rise. Probably. Who knows and who can really predict? You're probably dead on right. Right now, prices are up and rates are down. I mean, is that really going to change things? How many years are you going to wait and let slip by without making a move just to see what's going to happen next? So again, if I was somebody starting off buying a rental property a year from now, buying something I'm going to use as a rental property and put tenants in the middle of an eviction moratorium, I definitely would think it's a foolish thing to be paying a premium. Again, we just talked about this, right? If your risk is high, why would you pay money to get into a riskier situation. My risk is high. I'm going to want my reward to be very high. So I would want a huge discount on a rental property if I am in a situation where I'm going to have to get into that business where I can't even collect payment possibly. You have people that are going to take advantage of some very, very unfair laws. Obviously, these laws are all either gone finally or on the way out for the remaining of us. But, that would be really, really something to take into consideration. So thanks again very much, by the way, folks, for stopping by and saying hello if you're here live. If you're on replay, drop a comment in the chat. Let us know what market you're in and seriously, what's going on there. Are you still somebody that's stuck with the inability to collect rent if you own property? Is that the reason you haven't bought property if you don't own property? Or are you waiting for a market correction or maybe a huge crash and you're just sitting there with a big bag of money and your banker on the phone, just getting ready to pounce on your next or your first real estate deal? I have a feeling that there's more people out there than you'd think. So take a second, drop a like on this feed, but drop a comment as well. Let me know if you're getting ready to buy, if you're just waiting and waiting for the time to be right. And that time is maybe an upcoming market correction. I was chatting with Matt earlier. Matt always has the ability to relay some awesome theories that I'm sure he picked up somewhere. And he had a great thought process here on this. He said maybe there might be a bigger crash or certainly a shift in property ownership towards larger companies or wealthier individuals, where it's funny right now, right? It seems like it's never been easier for somebody to buy real estate. Hear me out. There's a lot of low interest rates, right? We talked about that. But also programs like FHA and a lot of flexible bank programs allow you to get into real estate with only a very small amount of down payment. Back in the day, right, our families, our parents, our folks that came before us, generations before us, they used to save up. These people used to save and save. They'd have a bunch of money. Then they would go and make their purchase on a house. They'd have a huge down payment, putting 20% down, et cetera. We don't really find a lot of people doing that these days. They're coming in with smaller down payments. Now, that's one thing to think about is, there's not a lot of equity left in the house sometimes if you're buying something at pretty much full price and you're not putting much down. You might be in a riskier position on that property. But also, as prices have shot up so much, since people have moved away from like savings and having money saved up to purchase, prices have gone up so much. So now even when you're talking about a 20% down on a house and the house has a huge price tag on it now, you're talking about a massive amount of down payment money. So what Matt was saying is, wow, well, it might be that a lot of people can't buy a house because it's not that they can't get qualified. Your credit does not need to be super high anymore. The interest, the approval process is easy and it's fast and people are a lot more comfortable doing it. But it could be that the fact that even at 3.5% down payment, a lot of people just don't come up with it. Or can't come up with it. 10 grand of down payment, that might be, it might as well be $1 million for how much some people are really comfortable or used to having saved. So I thought that was an interesting thing. So that means who is going to have the money for down payments on properties? Well, somebody like me, somebody like yourself who owns property. You're going to leverage your current debt. You're going to use equity in another property to put down your down payment on the next property. Somebody that's established already, not the new people that are moving out from mom and dad's house into their first multifamily or single family home because they're not used to saving. So it might make houses unobtainable still because prices have gone up so much that even if the rates are low, the only people that can really obtain the new properties because they haven't saved is going to be the businesses and wealthier people who have that money amassed already. So a whole bunch of comments here. Let me see if I can check these out a little bit. Here we got Dave. Man, it's so small writing on my screen. I apologize. I plan on leaving my parents' home and get my own place within 3 or 4 years. Okay. Ideally, I would aim for a duplex or a 2-family residence and have my tenants cover the loan. My question is New York the right place to do this? Well, there's no right or wrong place, but New York is probably about the closest to the wrong place. No, listen, I don't want to rain on your parade. New York and several states with some similar things like New York, similarities to New York, are generally considered one of the most unfriendly and unfair states towards property owners and landlords. So strongly factor that in. Learn about your local laws, the court systems, and the enforcement, and basically your rights as an owner, because that's going to dramatically impact your success or failure of owning a rental property. If you own a rental property and your tenants aren't abiding by your rules that everybody agreed on in the contract, or they're simply not paying you for the services you're responsibly providing, you need to know what rights you have to enforce your lease and enforce the fact that somebody pays you for your services. Think about it. I don't know if it sounds like you're obviously very new and you're going to buy your first property. Any other business, if you take from them without paying, you go to Best Buy and you try leaving with a TV without paying, you get in trouble right there on the spot. In some states, especially like states like New York, I'm in Mass, so states like Mass, that doesn't happen like that. If somebody takes from you and doesn't pay you for your services, you might have to continue providing your services in full for many, many months before you can stop them from consuming. So it could be very, very interesting. But you can use an FHA loan, at least right now. You can use an FHA loan to not just buy a 2-family house. You can use one to buy up to a 4-family house. So you could still own or occupy 1 unit and have 1, 2, 3 units worth of income coming in that are going to offset your expenses and maybe put some money in your pocket. That money, hopefully, you're using towards your next property, and you just keep rolling that thing. Buy 1 multifamily property every year. That should be, well, I would say consider that to be one of your 5-year plans that you might put together. And if you're buying a multifamily house every year, at the end of 5 years, you're going to be probably pretty well established and on a very, very short path at that point to financial freedom. It's great to work for a living. You can still work and have a career, but you'd be doing it by choice, not to keep yourself fed. So hopefully it's something for you to consider, and we'd love to be updated about that. Maybe if you come back and you watch this on replay, especially just like everybody else does, drop a comment. Let us know a little bit more in detail about what you're planning, what you're doing, and keep us posted. Lisa says, we converted our FHA to conventional with our refi a couple of months ago, so our next purchase can be FHA. It's just easier. Yeah, and I mean, wow, what a great way to acquire property. Buying a home is a lot easier than you'd think, especially if you're owner occupying it. That's why we talk so much about FHA and house hacking. I think it would be financially better to follow this plan in a different state, but does it really matter? What do you think? Thanks for your time. Yeah, no, big time. Definitely. Like I said, I always say I'm in Mass. I always say, if you can succeed or sustain yourself in Mass, you can flourish anywhere else. I mean, you can just do so well. Here, I've gotten very accustomed to it being completely lopsided and laughable if it wasn't so horrible. Just laughably, just insane about how lopsided it is here in favor of anybody but an owner of a property or of a landlord. So I always say, man, I could go somewhere else and probably be very, very successful here. We grind it out really, really. It takes a lot of hard work, but you can be successful here. And Lisa agrees. It looks like New York is a tough market for sure. Aaron says, "What do you think do you think the house market will crash?" So, Aaron, you're jumping on probably a little bit late. We did cover that a bit. Catch it in a replay, please, and drop a comment. Let me know what you think. But if you are still here, personally, it's anybody's guess, right? I think there will be a correction. I think we'll see the market shift and change. Yeah, but what I was talking about earlier is I think there's a lot of people out there, like many people here in our chat that we're talking to, who are just waiting for an opportunity to buy. And when you have such a huge amount of people waiting for the properties to be available at a lower price, as those prices drop, people start buying. That's going to keep propping the market up. So I don't know. We'll only know as time shows us and reveals itself. But that would be my suspicion, is that there's a lot of people out there waiting. Now, what's really unfortunate, as Matt was pointing out, is it might be that there's a lot of people like myself and you guys, people that are out there looking to buy, to invest in, maybe their second, your third, or your fifth, or your 50th property. And those are the kind of people that are the ones that are going to be buying because they've saved money and they're in a position to do this. They've been waiting and they already had some work done. They've been working hard on their careers. They saved up some cash and they're ready to buy, or they bought a few properties in the past. They have some money in equity that they can use. They can leverage to buy new stuff. It might not be the starter people, the people that are looking to move out from mom and dad's, the people that are, getting married, getting their first house together, stopping renting, graduating college, going from the dorms or a short rental after graduation to getting into their first residential ownership property, because there's not a lot of savings. And as the prices have gotten up pretty high, even at 3.5%, that's still a good chunk of money you need to have saved. If you're going FHA, if you're going conventional at 10 or 15 or 20% down, a lot of folks just might not have access to that kind of cash as a down payment, thus preventing them to get involved. Any bubble eventually pops. Too many people buying. I love it. Let me pull this up right here, Alfredo. Any bubble eventually pops. Too many people buying without knowing REIT value. Sorry, it's small on my screen. And holding cost 2008 coming again. Maybe. I don't know. I don't. A lot of people seem to think it won't be as bad as 2008. But you know what? That's one of the things that made 2008 such a big deal is nobody thought that was going to happen, and then it did. So we'll see. And we're going to be here right here with you guys, helping everybody understand how to navigate their way through this. It's going to be great for some people. It's going to be bad for some people, just like any other type of commodity or stock or anything. If people own current shares of Tesla stock, if Tesla dropped overnight, a lot of people would go out and maybe buy it, and they'd get in where they weren't getting in before. And yeah, it's going to hurt some as values lose. This is the kind of thing that we do see over and over and over with real estate. So we'll have to wait and see. But there's a lot of factors that are coming to play, like interest rates, pricing going up, interest rates having gone down. There's been a lot of unprecedented involvement from the government on large scales, not tiny little things that have manipulated and changed it. So we might be in a territory that nobody can really know for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's a great comment. At least we don't have the subprime market going crazy, so that will help. Let me tell you, Rob, you're right, but I've been hearing about this, and I maybe do your own research on this too, but I've been hearing that banks have been getting pressured. How valid that is or in what ways that is, I'm not 100% sure. So please, I would say we should all look into this. If you guys see anything, maybe post a link in the replay of this. It's going to be saved on our YouTube channel, and let us know what you find. But banks have been getting pressured to give out loans where they would normally not have given out loans before. So in other words, to approve people they normally would have not chosen to approve. That, again, more of a government involvement type of thing, and probably something that could be another subprime 2.0 situation. Banks got smart. They said, I'm not going to risk this again, and I don't want to loan that person money. And the government's like, hey, that's not fair. Give these people money, and they're getting pressured to do it. So I've heard those kind of things. I haven't been able to really validate that. Please, if you could, and you're looking into this stuff and learning more about it, throw a link in the comments section here on this video. I think a lot of people will be really, really interested to see if we're going to have another subprime crash of a different name. Lisa's back with a comment as well. A lot of first-time home buyers can also get access to grants in lieu of holding off on a refinance for a set time. You know what? That actually brings up a great thing. A lot of people have been doing refinances. So a lot of people have not been selling their homes when they could just simply refi and save a ton of money on it and cash some money out so that they have money in their pocket. Instead of going, a lot of people were downsizing homes. Think about it. Your mom and dad, you buy a house, you have a family, the kids grow up and leave and they go on their own way. And now you have this whole house that was housing a household of 5 people, and it's just the 2 of you again. You don't need this huge whole place. You could downsize to a smaller home. And a lot of them, instead of selling it, are just going back to the bank, refinancing it, taking some equity out so they can travel, vacation, get that Corvette that dad always wanted, whatever. And it lowers their payment because their rate got so much lower to the point where it would have been if they were to just go out and buy a smaller house. They were thinking, we want to downsize our monthly expense. They don't care if they got an extra couple bedrooms they can use for whatever around the house now. They were looking to downsize their monthly expense, and they're actually downsizing their monthly expense and taking some cash out that they can use for whatever else. Maybe they've been following our channel, buying themselves their second property as an investment property. And some of those mom and dads that have the kids out of the house now are turning their existing house into Airbnb rentals. So they're, instead of downsizing and keeping and going and buying a smaller property, they're just staying put and they're not selling. So there's a lot of other reasons, like refinancing, why a lot of houses haven't been getting sold. So if we see rates go back up, maybe there will be fewer refis and more people simply moving into smaller properties. You never know. So that might be something we'll deal with too. But between that, the eviction moratorium does play into what could happen and crash the housing market. And what some of those things could be is that landlords, owners of properties, might just walk away from their properties. They may not pay the mortgage on it. They're not going to pay the taxes on it. They're not going to fix the heating system that broke for a tenant that hasn't paid for their services, those services specifically, for almost 2 years. So a lot of landlords might just walk away from properties. That might take a considerable amount of time to cycle through. Nobody's getting paid on anything, and those properties might eventually, hit the market at some point too. But I would imagine there's going to be a lot of tired, beat up property owners out there that they shouldered way more burden than they ever needed to or should have, and a lot of people that took advantage of them. And those properties at some point could flood in, and probably whatever does hit the market will probably all hit right around the same time. So that might be something that might change the landscape of the housing market. So could be a whole lot of things to look forward to seeing. And I don't mean look forward like, hey, I can't wait for there to be a crash, but a lot of people can't wait for there to be a crash. Because they know this stuff does happen. It's the natural order of things to an extent. Things do change. Markets fall and rise. And as the prices drop and markets crash, it gives a whole different crop of people an opportunity to buy in. What Matt was saying earlier today to me in our conversation was, that might not be a whole new crop of people. It might be the same people currently owning stuff, buying more stuff. We'll see. I think the only way to know is to stay tuned and, really, really keep in tune with this stuff. The way I always say it on our TikTok and our YouTube channel is to train your brain to real estate by staying involved with it, keep it top of mind, and keep talking to people about this kind of stuff. So I gotta hop off, guys. We've been on here for a little while talking about this. I always love to see some of our followers here and the replay people that come by and drop us comments as well. Make sure you take a second, if you haven't for some reason, subscribe. Make sure you hit subscribe, but ring the notifications bell when you do, because we do have some videos that are coming up that I want to make sure you have a chance at seeing. And if you ring that notifications bell, you'll know when those videos go live. Some of the stuff pretty time sensitive, so if something pops up, you might want to see it that week instead of maybe seeing it a month later. And take a minute and drop comments. We always love to hear feedback and updates from our existing subscribers. So we hope to see lots of comments popping on some of our videos. We have a lot of videos on our YouTube channel already. We're going to continue working hard for you guys to make sure we have lots of new content. Best thing you can do for all of our free content, if you want to help people learn more about this stuff, is drop a share out there. Everybody knows somebody who needs to know a little bit more for free about real estate. So let us help you and help them by giving them a couple of shares. So thanks very much, guys. We appreciate you hanging out. My name's Kevin. I'm the Property Prince here from Two Guys Take On Real Estate. And we hope to see you on our next live, usually every week now. So keep an eye on the notifications so you'll know not to miss us next time we're on. Take care.